You're listening to Lender Lounge with Kevin Kim, a podcast dedicated to helping our listeners in the private lending industry grow, improve, and streamline their business. I'm Kevin Kim, partner at Fortra Law, the nation's largest private lending law firm. Join me as we chat with the best and brightest in private lending. They're eager to share their years of wisdom and best practices for lenders, brokers, borrowers, investors, and more. Subscribe to Lender Lounge on your favorite podcast platform and visit our website, fortralaw.com, to learn more about how we can help you scale. Check out the episode summary below for other valuable resources. Hi, everyone. Kevin Kim here, your favorite private lending attorney and podcast host. Welcome to Lender Lounge with Kevin Kim. As you know, we've rebranded to Fortra Law. I'm very excited. This video or podcast you're about to enjoy was recorded prior to our rebrand. Any reference to Jurassic LLP is really meant to reference our new brand, Fortra Law. Please enjoy this episode and please like and subscribe. Thank you very much. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Lender Lounge with yours truly, Kevin Kim. As you can see, we are not in the computer. We are actually on location. We are getting ready for the Captivate conference in 2025. We're in our hotel room shooting this wonderful podcast today. We have some familiar faces next to me. We are now in season 5. We do these episodes before Captivate, and we chose to do this time with partners at Jurassic, and we're going to have some fun today. Not going to be super serious. We're not getting deep in the weeds, but we're going to have some fun today. So before we start, my business partners, please introduce yourselves to our audience, and we will get started.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer Young. I'm a partner at Jurassic. I'm on Kevin's team, the corporate and securities team. Good to see you guys.
Well, hello. My name is Nema. And that was it was fun to watch you in your element.
Oh, yeah, man.
Because you did all the things already when looking at the camera. I don't know who's going to be looking at a camera when they're actually watching this. They're probably on a podcast, but I feel like
if I'm on YouTube, I got to get in their face.
If you're listening to this, you really are missing.
What are you talking about? You're in people's faces regardless.
Oh, yeah.
But it was a lot.
That's great.
And there was a lot of cop noises and all sorts of sounds there. It was beautiful.
It was lovely.
No, you are a podcast or a video.
We're in season 5.
Is it a vlog extraordinaire? Like, what would you call it?
Today, we're kind of vlogging. We're kind of podcasting. We're having fun with it, right? That we're not so...
When you do a video of yourself, though?
We should. I had the Meta glasses. I think we're going to do that next time. Yeah.
Anywho, my name is Nema. I am also, for better or worse, Jen and Kevin's partners. I do the documents, as they have told me. I really enjoy. I've been with Jurassic for a very long time. I've given my youth to the company, and here I am today, unfortunately, with these two people. And it feels like a low point in my career, but here we are. I'm excited for this day.
Yes. Given my youth.
So as you guys can tell, today we're not going super I'm going deep into the company's background or you guys' background. I think everyone has met and gotten to know these two wonderful people. Today we're going to have a little fun. But first, we do want to get your guys' take on what's going on in private lending, because we are on the front lines. We see lenders of all shapes and sizes. Jen, you and I work with brand new market entries all the way up to the guys that are, all over the country, and Nema, you as well. And so, before we get into the silly part of the podcast, I do want to ask you guys, it's 2025, we're 5 months in, and last year we were a little bit nervous, and this year I feel like we're still a little bit nervous. So what are you guys seeing on the ground as it pertains to the private lending industry at large? What are you seeing with your clients? And what can we learn in getting ready for the next 6 to 8 months? And then going into the next year, what can we learn from our past years of experience?
Jen Young, I'd love to hear your perspective.
I think in the past few years, the difference with what I'm seeing kind of recently in the past 6 months, a year, 2 years, versus 3-4 years ago, probably the expansion of businesses into different states and different geographies. Like, I think that expansion is real, and people scaling their businesses and really making the effort to be compliant in all 50 states or whatever states that they're going into. And they are taking that seriously because they do want to grow, and they are growing. I love that. I love seeing our clients do that, and we help them and we tell them what to do, which states they need to watch out for, what to keep an eye out for, and they are ready to go and they are very motivated, and that growth is real. So I like that.
So you're seeing growth, and you're seeing growth being taken very seriously.
Expansion into geographies that they're not.
People are expanding into new markets, right? And for those of you who don't know, who are listeners, Jen is your go-to person at Jurossi when it comes to multi-state licensing. We run these licenses for guys all over the country, but like it's been fascinating to watch lenders you not expect. Oh, I'm going into these new markets now. So it's been great to see.
Versus, no, I'm just going to stay in, X state. We're very small. We're not,
I mean, back when we started, when I started, it was like, I landed in this city. Almost.
Well, and it's interesting too. I mean, I'll piggyback on what Jen just said there as well, which is I was actually just on a call yesterday with a lender who was in Texas, and I pulled them up and I pulled their data up previously, and about 96% of their transactions. And sure enough, that was the exact same conversation we were having. I was giving them all sorts of hard time. I think Texas is one of the worst states to lend in. We can go about that for some time, but they were rapidly expanding outside of it. And if you just kind of think about those stats for a second, right? 96% of their transactions were in the state, right? And even and this is 4 years worth of data for their purposes, right? So it really shows you that this concept of no longer, I would say, is being comfortable with being comfortable, right? That's probably the better way to think about it. Is I think, it's funny. This is a weird tangent on this issue, but that is what I'm known for. That and saying statements that don't make sense. So I will say,
this is true.
It's one of my key strengths. So artificial intelligence. Okay, hang there with me. Just hang there with me for a second. Artificial intelligence is like the ultimate buzzword, right? Like we're about to do our conference tomorrow and everyone's going to be like, oh yeah, I do AI. And you're like, what? Like,
every software company out there says they do AI.
But nobody really could tell you how they use AI, right? But like we're all panicking inside because we're like, oh my gosh, like Elon Musk is like literally trying to take our job. And he's like,
Skynet is coming.
He's going to doge us all.
Right. Yes.
That we all have right now, right? So there's this like kind of panic, I would say, about complacency. Right? No matter who you are. And so like this is all kind of a bigger manifestation.
But also the guys are feeling like the downward pressure because they're seeing their deals being taken away by these big national stops. I got to compete. That need that drives to compete and not lose business.
Yes.
The growth is real.
That's right. And it's interesting. I did not have an appreciation for this, and I should have, because I think that, being in the law firm business, the law firm business is very relationally driven. And it's funny because even, you guys as a practice group, the nature of your business is particularly on the fund formation side of it is you have all these relationships in the world and for most companies, they will need you one time and they're going to need you for the most critical part of their life cycle is you're their formation, you're there to advise them or whatever it is. But the really interesting aspect of this is that you still have to be very relationally minded with these customers, even though technically you could totally screw them, right? Because at the end of the day you're going to work with them once, right? So like good, bad, and different doesn't really matter, right? You don't, obviously. But it's interesting is that the private lending community, and what I've learned really from their business models is that they are actually, it's mostly a repetitive business model, right? And so they're actually most fearful of, and you just said this a second ago, but it's really an interesting point, is they're extremely fearful of losing the relationship with a good customer.
Good. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And it's interesting because it's forcing them to do things they don't really want to do. That could be a geography play, like, well, you know what? If you're going to start buying properties in Alabama because that's where the opportunities are right now, like, well, I'm going to start doing loans in Alabama because I don't want to lose the relationship because I know that my competitors probably offer multi-state type practice, right? Yeah. And then in addition to that, it's also forcing them to do that little dirty word we call DSCR right now, right?
Well, DSCR is now today DSCR 5 years ago was construction.
That's right.
Right.
Oh, I don't do ground up. I
don't touch construction.
That's right.
But now everyone and their mom is doing construction loans.
That's right.
Why? Well, I think it's because the borrowers are asking for it.
That's right. That's right. You don't want to lose the customer relationship, and it's forcing you to really go outside of that comfort, which is good, right? And the beautiful part of this whole thing is that it's easier now than ever to do these things.
Right.
Right. You have an inflow of capital. From my perspective, there's more money than there are deals. And so it's very good to be someone who is able to have, whoever has borrower relationships is going to be kind of the kingmaker for this type, right? And it's not to say, I mean, right now, I would not, that ebbs and flows rapidly. I think if you were to ask me about like the economy in general now, like I don't understand, and I haven't for some time, the imbalance of what's occurring.
So let's talk about that. So macro, right? So we don't do a lot of this macro stuff on the show, but I think everyone wants to hear your thoughts on this because we're all on the front lines with clients in different respects. And economically speaking, financial market speaking, it's a weird time.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, it's confusing. It makes confusing.
No sense. I mean, you when you look at the market right now, and you'd say the average person that you're going to walk into right now, and no one would be like bullish about where we're headed in the next month, right? Or the next 2 months.
But at the same time, it's always cautious optimism. And that could be, we're mortgage people and we're entrepreneurs. Right. It could be that.
Sure. It's good to, right, again, I'm a cautious optimist, right? By nature there. But it is what I don't understand and I don't have a deep appreciation for is that why is the business doing so well, right? So when I'm obviously, for those that don't know, run a fun little company called Lightning Docs. It's it does at this juncture 5,000 business purpose funds a month. We're talking almost $3 billion worth of transactions. Just an enormous amount of flow that's occurring on there right now. And the thing is, you watch those transactions, and I get to get a little window into all these businesses that are on there, and I get to kind of say, it's like, if I'm going to just track the same company, and I get to track them from January of 2023. And I just got to watch their business and their life cycle. And they're growing dramatically. And I can't understand it because I go like, but nothing, like there's no good reason for that business expansion, meaning that we didn't have this crazy, we went from an awful interest rate environment, right? So if you have this interest rate shock, it didn't get a whole lot better, right? You have basically 50 or so basis points in terms of the drop from the Fed level. Right, you had a better capital market situation, so maybe they're able to borrow money a little bit more cheaply or sell loans on a bit of a better basis. But you didn't have a seismic shift.
But I think that that's actually, we have a seismic shift in one aspect. We've been talking about rated securitization,
that's right,
on panels for a long time.
Sure,
but there's one after effect of that. If there are more securitizations, so if there's more bond money chasing and being inflowed, but that creates a secondary effect.
Yeah.
The old guard of capital markets relationships that are buying loans, banks, life insurance companies, pension funds, the ones that are buying loans, now they have to compete.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that changes the dynamic because I feel like, okay, now you're telling me you sell me loans and it was X price, but you just did a securitization. Now your pricing is better. You don't need to sell to me anymore.
That's right.
Well, then again, maybe I should compete. And so I feel like the capital inflow, plus the growth, that's the thing. It's like, I think new market entry, not like new market
expansion.
Market expansion.
That's right. Yeah.
People are growing because they're adding new markets to their books.
Yes.
And taking over new markets because they have a very good system in place.
Yeah.
And they're attracting, or their borrowers are going to new markets and they're picking the same formula and dominating in Alabama as they were in Texas.
Right.
And that could be it. And we don't know because we're not talking to the borrowers.
Yes. I can't tell you the why of the story.
Right.
I can only tell you what is occurring in real time. Right. And it's, I mean, I seriously, most nights will wake up in the middle of the night fearful that the other shoe will drop. I'm telling you, it's a tortured world, right?
We are children of the recession. So I mean,
it's right.
We're children of
Let's not age all of us.
Well, we are. We're all around the same age. We're children of the GFC.
That's right.
We're in the mortgage market, technically speaking. It's rational to think that oh boy, here we go again.
That's right. Because any indication, right? Any indication that kind of looks like the general sentiment is negative, you go, oh crud, here it comes. And so, but it just doesn't. Every day I wake up, and I'm a sociopath because every day I wake up, and I pull up a data report that says how many loans closed yesterday on Lightning Docs.
That explains so much.
I know, a little weird human, but I do every day. I wake up and I look at him and go, okay, we're okay.
Right.
No, but
But at the same time, if you look at Forcasa data, right? So Forcasa data shows, if you look at the national leaders, I'm seeing red, right? So volumes are down nationally.
well,
Right?
maybe.
Their volumes, so the reported volumes in Forcasa, we're seeing downward arrows in the red.
So this is interesting. I did this because I'm a nerd. I will self-admit a nerd on this one. So I tracked everybody. I tracked the top 100 loan originators in Forcasa, their year over year, Q1, 2025, 2024. You guys want to do some fun quizzing?
Sure.
Okay. If you were to guess,
No.
did that cohort grow or decline
It grew.
by what percent?
I want to say 15% at most.
6%. Okay. So that's our first stat. But of the top 100, what percentage of those either declined in volume during that time period or were flat? What percentage of those make up that?
Declined or were flat of the top 100.
Of the top 100.
Large percent.
I would say 70% of them.
You think so?
85.
You're both wrong. Anyways, it's 50%. It was 50% of the exact number. I know my numbers, but that's fascinating, right?
That makes sense.
Why?
Because the bottom half, what do you think about it? The bottom half of the top 100 are not tied into capital markets. So you have this phenomenon, right?
Whoa. Hold on. Maybe you're right, but I don't know if that answer, because I did.
They're either selling their loans, which means that the aggregator is setting their cost of capital.
Yes.
Or their balance sheet lenders and their investors are setting their cost of capital. So they can't be competitive compared to the guys at the top 10 who have very low cost of capital.
Maybe that might, again, you're probably right, but I don't know. When I was looking at this briefly, and now I had all the answers, and I felt so good.
See,
and you got me, and I hate
here's the
to you.
audience. This is the thing, right? Because we live in the world of funds. We live in the world of balance sheet lenders.
Right.
They have their own.
You know their capital
struggles.
stack.
They're
You know their
very
capital stack,
different
Yeah.
from our guys who are purely reliant on either kind of they're institutional or they have lines of credit plus leverage plus securitization plus a loan buyer. It's a different world, but that's the fascinating part of our world right now. There's so many ways to be successful, and I love that. Right, regardless of whether things are kind of down or up, because of the fragmentation, our clients are finding ways to get their deals done.
Yeah.
And finding ways to evolve and change. And they're all kind of looking at, what's the formula? And there is no...
They're all different.
They're all different.
Mm-hmm. They're different.
I agree with you. They are different. Very different. But I think that there's a formula. This is what I've come to the determination of. You ready for it?
You and I agree on this.
Do we?
Go for it.
The formula? I know this is going to blow your minds. Execution. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is the people who do better. They're just better business operators.
Yeah.
They're playing in the same.
Their borrowers like to work with them.
Yes.
Their borrowers enjoy working with them. Yeah. We have a client on the real estate side, and they are one of the national leaders in the Southern California market, and they have our clients chasing them for deal flow. And they tell me, hey, because we have the deals, we have to pick and choose. And all that matters to us is, can they get it done? I don't care about pricing as much. Can they get it done when we need to get it done? That's what we care about.
Right.
That's the big ultimate difference maker. If you can't get it done at the 11th hour, you're not going to win that fight.
That's right. I think people believe rates and terms matter far more than they actually do.
I don't agree with that.
I think it's borrower relationship and ability to execute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think just really good, what I would say also is that, the people, there's this famous, Jeff Bezos video from whatever, late 90s. And he's basically talking about this concept of, and I can't remember at the time whether there was some recession or something that was occurring. And they're asking him like, hey, Jeff, like, what are your thoughts about the recession? How are you planning for this? How are you planning for all these macroeconomic events? And he's like, I don't. He's like, that's silly. Well, then what am I going to do? Okay, it's not in my control. Like, he's like, let me just tell you what I know with certainty. My customers want things faster, and they want me to try to deliver them more cheaply. Right?
And he built the model to get it done faster, cheaper, all of it, right?
And I love that, and I loved watching that video because it really takes. There's so much, I think, almost victim mentality that I see oftentimes in these contexts. It's like, oh, they're working with these capital guys. Oh, they've got this institution.
I hear it all the time.
Oh,
why? How am I losing business to X, Y, Z?
Yeah, if I had what they had, and I'm like, no, you go to what is within your control.
We had a guest on the show, season 1 episode. No, you know him, Noah, right? Shout out to Noah. Noah gets shit done. He will be able to get the deal done faster. And yeah, he still loses deals. It happens. But his borrowers stick by him because he can execute.
Yeah.
Right? He gets it done. And he gets it done on time, fast. He will remove hurdles to entry that maybe the big guys do and make it easier on his borrowers. And that's the thing that I always tell people, like, you're not owned by an institution. So you have flexibility. Right.
Well, and, going back to Amazon for a second too, right? Like what Amazon really taught us was a concept of the buy now button.
Yeah.
Right. Like what is your business version of the buy now button?
And you got to give a shout out to Kiavi. Kiavi has basically created the buy now button of our industry. Shout out to Kiavi. I mean, we had on the show, their concentration is like, how do we make it easier? How do we make it easier?
Remove all the friction from the purchase.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you got to get and to the point that they've solved the evaluation issue, they've solved the credit issue. They could do it. They've removed as many hurdles as possible, and they can move quickly.
And it's a relentless focus on that, rather than what's capital markets going to do?
And the plus alpha is they have a low cost of capital.
Sure.
And so it's like they can compete on rate, on risk, on flow to entry. It's a lot. And shout out to Arvin. He was on the show. That was what he was concentrating on, it seemed like. And that's still the same truth as when they were lending home. So it's good for them, Yeah. So we've had a lot of serious talk, a lot of fun talk, but I think it's very serious industry-related talk. I've gotten some questions from our producers. They've asked me to prepare some things for you guys, questions that you may want to ask. And then we're going to get into a point. You notice they're wearing Listen to Kevin shirts today?
And just fun fact, neither of us. Neither of them. Neither of them. Actually, listen to this podcast. I'm a big fan.
Neither of them do.
But in terms of in real life, I get yelled at by Kevin.
Yeah.
At probably once a week.
I think I yell back at Kevin.
Yeah. So here's the thing. It's like I go back to this thing about oldest child, youngest child. There's a different dynamic.
You're the youngest child?
We're about to get lectured as a group lecture, everyone. Go on.
Are you the youngest child?
I am the youngest child.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
It makes so much sense. It's my...
Jen and I are both the oldest children. We're both the oldest. And that's... There's a different dynamic here, right?
You by the way, you're right. But go on.
And for years, I'm just trying to understand how this guy operates, and I figured it out.
But let me preface.
As the youngest child usually does.
As a youngest child does. Kevin, in all sincerity, many years ago, grabbed me and he's like, I need to talk to you. I'm like, let's talk. And he's like, I'm really, really annoyed by you. You're just totally acting like a little brother all the time. I'm like, I literally don't understand what you're saying. Like, technically, I am a little brother. Like, I am a younger brother in life. So I think the dynamic there is probably an accurate statement, but like, what do you want me to do with this piece of information? He's like, you don't understand. I was like, you're correct. I don't understand at all what that statement means. And more importantly, what you would like me to do differently. And he's like, you need to think and act like a big brother. And I was like, again, just for context here, that is not my actual birth order. And so
you should have asked your older brother. You have an older brother.
I do have an older brother. But a younger brother will never ask an older brother.
This is true. This is very true.
And so,
but that's important. It's important. And you're leading people. That was my point. You're leading.
No, you're 100%. You were upset with me. So here's what let me just actually say what I think he meant in this situation was, hey, an older brother is kind of constantly worried about their younger siblings and making sure that they're taken care of. So like, think of this law firm and think of the people here as your younger siblings, right? Like if you're out at an event with them, make sure that they get to their car safely, make sure that they get to their hotel room safely, make sure that they're taken care of, right? That's what he should have articulated, but he can't articulate that because he's Kevin.
Yes.
Right? So that's the problem. Amen. So instead he said, be a bigger brother, be like the mom.
Understand the words that are coming out of my mouth. I don't have to say it outrightly.
You have to explain it though.
How long have we been working together? No, and you know how it was nothing that you ever said that got me there. I am now a father. Crazy, I know.
Once you become a dad,
I'm a father. I have my son who is older and my daughter who is younger. My son, you can easily tell, I'll be like, hey, go watch your sister for a little bit. And he'll totally get it. He's only 2 years older, but he will be like, he's going to watch, he's going to follow her around the playground. He's going to make sure that no one messes with her. Like, he gets it. The other day I had an opportunity. I was with my daughter, sweetest girl in the world. And she really is sweet. She's just has a heart, the biggest heart you'll ever find. But we were out and about at a playground, and I think she was 6 at the time, and there was a little 4-year-old girl that was walking with us, and I said, hey, Cora, make sure you go watch this other girl, make sure she doesn't fall at the playground, like, take care of her. And literally 2 seconds later, she just walks in the opposite direction. And I was like, oh my God, this is what Kevin was saying. That I am the younger brother, she is the younger sister. And that's how I finally figured out what the hell you were saying all those years later is what you wanted me to do.
Oh, Nema.
I was never told explicitly what to do. My father would always tell me this esoteric concept, and I have to noodle on it and philosophize about it and figure it out. Read between the lines. Reading between the lines is a very important thing in Korean culture, and you need to figure out what is it he's trying to say. On top of all that, I am literally the fourth generation oldest child in my family. If they have any idea how Asian culture works, that's a big burden.
They have a lot of bloodline issues.
A big burden. And I'm a boy. And so that's a very big burden on me. And so that burden still stands on my shoulders, and I very much care about how everyone is doing. But also, the point was also, you have to make sure that they don't see you in a negative light, right? Fishbowl, right? The idea was fishbowl, right? It's like, and so that was the thing I was trying to get across. And I told him fishbowl later, but like,
okay, but hold on. So is your child, I always had this question. I mean, for those of you guys who know Kevin, have met him, conferences, on the phone, on Zoom, he's easily the loudest person in the room. Anywhere he goes.
How did you isolate it down to Zoom?
I don't know. I'm giving you all the opportunities.
You could just say, have you ever met Kevin?
And I did all the time.
Medium of meeting.
50%.
What was the experience like? And loud was the result of the medium experience.
I was trying to give you an idea, and you think, oh yeah, I do remember Kevin was screaming on Zoom, and he was so loud, and he was just the only person in the computer. But
but you heard what I said.
But you didn't know what he meant.
I had to read between the lines. No, but why are you so loud?
Well, that's a great question.
Is it just me? I want to know why.
What happened?
Is it childhood trauma?
No, it's.
Is it trying to be the oldest brother?
I have asked many of my friends. Oh, look, who are also loud. Why are we all so loud?
No.
No.
And here's the thing.
No. Do not say
I have this theory. I think I never gotten my ears tested. I think I have hearing problems. I really think I do. That's issue number one. Because also,
and how many issues? Because that's a lot.
In high school, I would always play music at loudest volume possible.
So
that was
ears are damaged, maybe.
Maybe my ears damaged. But secondarily, my wife.
It's actually
my wife.
Third point.
If you met my wife, you both met my wife. She's quiet. She's reserved.
Yes, she's a lovely woman.
Yeah.
Yes.
When she married into my family, she told me every time we go to your mom's house, I'm like constantly coming out like I just went to a concert. And I was like,
her ears are ringing.
Yeah.
You're a loud family.
So your mom and dad were loud.
Super loud. My mom, in her childhood, would get in trouble for being loud. My dad he's got a loud, he had a big booming loud voice. My brother is louder than I am, if you can believe it.
No.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
No.
They're and that comes from him being the youngest son and him trying to figure out how to get his point across. And it's funny because my girls now have it. I have 2 girls and they're both loud AF. It's like, guys,
terribly loud. Listen, and there's a gene one possesses apparently.
and it comes with it. And on top of all of that, the Korean language can be a very aggressive language. And so when people think that we're fighting all the time, but we're not. We're just tough.
If you've ever eaten at a restaurant with Kevin, it is a scary, scary experience because normally if you're like, hey, like, oh, I'm like my drink refilled, you're like, oh man, right? Like
when you have time, please.
Right, when you have time. Oh my God, like, what is happening?
For those of you who have visited Korea, you may know this, but we're very direct, and we're also, hey, right here, refill my drink, please. that's always.
To be fair, the drink gets refilled.
It gets refilled.
We learned something from today.
Exactly. And also, in my defense, in my older years, after I had Audrey, especially, I've gotten a lot more quiet, comparatively speaking. Remember how loud I was back in the day?
He is less. I don't know if quiet is the word I would.
No, I'm not quiet. By no means am I quiet.
But you are less. I'm trying to use podcast words here.
No, it's less angry.
Yes.
Well, that was
the A word I was thinking of to describe what you are less of currently.
Yes. And I've actually noticed that. One of my questions was, the loudness, but also you're a very grumpy person for those people who don't know on
Oh my.
every single.
He's so grumpy.
So grumpy.
He's so grumpy.
Like, why?
You're such a grouch.
What?
I am a grouch.
Have you always been the same?
So why?
I'm a grouch.
Why?
So I asked this question to myself
explain.
recently.
Because he's so much fun to hang out with.
I am.
But then
that's fun.
But then whenever it comes to anything, you're just.
But like in his defense, though, he has gotten less grumpy in the
Just
past.
call me out on it.
You're
I
welcome.
legitimately went to my wife and she was like, why is he so grumpy?
Tell him to stop being so.
And my wife also knows this about me. I do not have there's no two versions of me.
Mhm.
When things are going well, I'm very happy. When things are not going well, I'm not very happy. And when things are not going well,
That's true.
you will know exactly how I feel about something, right? So I have never wanted to have her have, what is he trying to say? What is he
And
thinking?
I appreciate that. I like the straightforwardness.
Transparency
Hide your feelings.
I've been very known to be very hold all that out there. And the reason why last year, it was the year you told me, hey, Kevin, why are you so grumpy?
You need to stop.
Macro-wise, back to macro, last year was a rough year. Private lending was tough last year. And when the market is not doing so well, our business suffers.
Yeah.
When our business suffers,
Which is fine.
I feel the pain.
I get that professional macro. But Grumpy Kevin was not the year 2024. Let me just give you an example.
Well, no,
So you walk into an office, right? I don't know, with other human beings in it,
Mhm.
and it's the morning.
Yes.
And so your natural response would be like, hey, Jen,
Yeah.
how are you doing?
Yeah.
Kevin,
Or
good to see you, right?
saying
And all you get with Kevin, 100% of it,
Yeah.
You're like, what? You don't get a hi, you get a guttural sound. It's a general,
that's me saying hi.
that's me saying hi. It's not the guttural sound.
So we moved offices recently, right? End of last year. And now my office is right next to Kevin's. And I was dreading that because number one, he's loud. And number two, he's grumpy. And so I said, you know what?
I really
can do
hope
this.
my daughters don't watch that. So
I said, no, you know what? I can do this. Every morning I go in, I pop my head over and say, good morning, Kevin. And he goes, ugh.
not every day.
Every single time I said good morning. I stopped saying good morning to him when I got into the office as a result.
I am not a morning person.
Mm.
I am not, and I intentionally do not have my coffee until I get to the office because I watch a lot of.
Same, bro.
I need
You
my
don't
coffee
see
to
me
be a
adding
much
to
better,
people.
be a much better.
By the way, fun fact, Kevin is right on this one. So listen to Kevin, that it is better to wait in the morning and drink your coffee about an hour afterwards.
Dr. Huberman, thank you.
Oh, actually, yeah, I do that. I don't
Don't drink it first thing in the morning.
Yeah,
Wait that hour.
I do it when I
90
get to the
minutes
office.
or more.
It's tough.
It's very hard.
That first hour, I'm like,
It's very hard.
what's happening? My
It's
body
very
is
hard.
like trying to do something, but I don't want to move anywhere. It's
Yes.
How's that like again?
And morning routes when you have two girls getting ready for school, it's fun.
Oh,
It's so much fun in the morning, right?
little humans, they're brutal in the morning.
Thank God that they now have to wear uniforms. But before that, it was I don't want to wear this. I want to wear my hair like this. And my wife and I are like, oh,
Who does your girl's hair in the morning?
I used to.
I am known in my family as like the
Can you braid?
No, I can't braid.
Right.
But I could do some curls, girl. Like I am like a curl queen at home. Like you do not mess with my curling ability.
So my girls have very like,
Teach you how to
specific
braid.
desires of how they want their hair tied, and I did not expect to have 2 daughters. So
The universe honestly did not expect you to have $2. To be fair.
no, but to be fair, Ruby Keys, she's not Ruby Keys anymore. So
Ruby cursed you?
Ruby cursed me. You're going to have girls.
It's true.
And I had girls.
You got what you deserved.
And so
that is actually true.
when we were pregnant with Abigail, I watched a ton of YouTube videos of how to tie hair, but it only explained how to tie a ponytail. So I can only tie a ponytail.
So you could do a mean ponytail.
I can do one ponytail. One ponytail, only one. If they ask me to do 2, I can't. If they ask me to do 3, I can't. If they ask me to do something high, I can't. So now my wife does it because my girls have very long hair now. They're down to their middle of their back, and they all want to have very pretty hair. Abigail is right now big into braids, can't braid worth a damn. Audrey wants to have pigtails, can't do that, right? Because then she'll get mad at me because I do it too hard. So I have ogre strength, and so and getting it,
Is that what you call lack of coordination? Go on.
getting your hair pulled by an ogre is not something that Audrey finds enjoyable. And so I do not touch their hair in the morning. I do not anymore.
Wait, I have a more serious question.
Okay.
Okay. So men of a former generation were known, and I'm assuming for probably both of you, right? That like, I wouldn't call it necessarily a distant father, but a not emotionally available father, right? I think it kind of marked most of our childhoods.
If you're Asian, it's times 2,
Right.
usually.
Right. So, and you're grumpy, right? And you're Kevin. So like, that's a whole other component to sit on top of that, right? Like, would you consider yourself an emotionally distant father?
Good question. I go back to the Asian thing, right? So if you saw me with my children, you may say that I'm emotionally distant.
Yeah.
Right?
But you feel compared to your
Comparatively speaking,
Yeah.
how I was raised,
yeah.
I feel like I'm a lot more. And, a lot has changed. My wife and I have been talking about this a lot. And
Have you ever do you ever tell your kids, I'm happy, sad, mad, glad? Do you ever talk about?
Oh, yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
You do? Do you apologize to
I
kids?
tell, oh, yeah. Oh. And so I do all the things that my dad never did with us. See, my dad was raised, he was born during the Korean War.
Yeah.
And he had 2 boys.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I had 2 boys, it'd be different. Because boys, and there's a different mentality with boys. But with girls, you can't do that kind of stuff with them. And so that is that.
Look at this softy.
Look
at this.
There's that. The second thing is also like,
Softy.
yeah, we have a word for it. And we have a phrase for it. Koreans use it and Japanese people use it. And the cusp of it is you're a grumpy person, but you're also very nice at the end of everything. If you distill everything down.
Nice grump.
That's a great way to describe Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
He's a nice grump.
We call this,
because he's very thoughtful in his own weird way.
in my own weird way, I try to.
In your own weird way, you're very thoughtful.
So that's how I try to be with them.
the nice grump.
But at the same time,
But when they get new Lennon Lounge shirts, like
Nice grump. Nice grump.
the word for it in Korean is tsundere. Tsundere means like, it's a combination of, it's a Cinderella and also like, has to do with like being like a forest being that's very soft and nice, right? So, but the idea is, my wife always makes, and my dad was the same way. But with my daughters, I do all the things that I wish my dad did with me. But at the same time, if you looked at me, if an American looked at me, they would say, you're really mean. I'm like, well, I just hold them to a very grumpy. No.
But I'm nice.
I hold them to a very high standard. I tell them, listen, I expect you to do these things. Your actions and that kind of, but also at the same time, my 4-year-old, we still baby her. So there's a lot going on there, but my wife says like, it's not enough. So I'm like, yeah, that's true. But once again, I was raised in a different way.
I have another important question.
I just want to give Kevin kudos because I have noticed you are more open and maybe I force it upon you to communicate because sometimes that's needed with such a
You're
grump.
very good at it. I give you a lot of credit.
And this was my segue, so I'm glad you brought it up because I'm wondering, so you got this interesting dynamic, right? So generally speaking at the firm, we're all, most partners have had their own groups, right? And there's times in which we've been together. So Melissa and I were both in the banking and finance practice, but now she runs that. And so for most of the practices, the partners have also been the department head of their practice. Mm-hmm. And you guys fit in this unique situation, which is you've had to work with this man and continue to work directly with this man in his grumpy era.
I had my hair dyed very recently, so you don't see the white.
in his, that's not about in his, that's just because he's getting old.
And I just didn't want to.
In his post-Sherbert
It's
era.
going to be HR.
So I want, you're writing your tell-all, right?
Ooh.
And so you start in this organization.
Oh, yeah.
With Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
So first, let's just take it back to the interview.
I didn't interview her.
Oh, that's why you took the job. Got it. Okay. So that makes sense because that was the first question I had.
Interviewed with, it was Take Him.
Which also Glump. Also a Grump.
Yes, identical.
We were very similar people.
Yeah, he's more downtrodden than
He was asking me a question about what would you do if blah, 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 and my team, they don't like it when I yell at them. I'm like, why would you yell at your team members in an interview? He goes, I don't yell at them. I'm like, you're yelling at me right now in an interview.
I warned him about this.
But I took the job.
In America, we don't yell at our employees. Oh, wait.
But I took the job.
This was your interview, and you're like, you know what? This place feels like home. But at the same time, take and stop. Was that like?
I found out.
At the same time, you and I were at CMBA in Las Vegas, and Tate calls me while we're at the conference, like, we have to hire this lady. So
interesting. So something's not going correct up there, but you chose to sign up for the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you meet
Mm-hmm.
the man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah.
What are your first thoughts?
Initially we didn't work a lot together, right? So it was
Great.
all fine and dandy.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
times.
Best days of your life,
Easy, yeah. Quiet.
Yeah.
Allow me to work.
Yeah.
And then after Tay left, I worked a lot closer with Kevin, a lot of just one-on-ones and trying to figure out and asking the questions,
Okay.
getting his thoughts, but then not
right.
communicating like a normal.
That's what I'm trying to understand.
It was like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, it's just us two in this room right now. And those office spaces this small. I feel like you don't have to use that outside level voice.
But take out that was my inside voice. But take the volume problems, right? Just take out the fact that immediately after this show, we're gonna go buy him some hearing aids. Like that's my first takeaway. But beyond that, was he also like giving you the little brother? I mean, they're not little brother. Was it still these weird messages? You're like, what the hell is he saying?
No.
Okay, so
I didn't get that.
Okay, so you're able to understand.
There were no cryptic messages to her.
Yeah.
That was just the way you relegated.
Well, yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I do, I don't know if you know this, but there is a Speak Kevin kind of thing.
Jen is very good at speaking Kevin.
I think I do.
There are 3 people in the office that speak Kevin very, very well.
I'm not
Who are
one.
they?
She is probably up very, very high up there.
Probably, yeah.
Ruby was very high up there until she left and moved to LA.
And now Ruby just went.
Now Ruby's like, what the F are you saying?
Right. Yeah.
And
She's become basically a farmer.
Yeah. Well,
We just gotta let her.
she raises chickens now, right? So
With her chicken tender, delicious eggs of the chickens. It's amazing.
Oh, this young woman that's ever existed.
Yeah.
Like 100%. I'm surprised she's not
I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. I get free eggs from her and then delicious.
The eggs are delicious. And anybody, hey, look, real talk. You should ask Ruby at some point in your life for the eggs. They're gonna be the best eggs you ever had.
She
She's 100% true.
And when do you ever hear about LA people raising chickens? You never hear about that. It's awesome. I love it. And by byproduct or maybe a product of it, she also listens to country music. So I don't know.
Wait,
but the third person is Melissa. Melissa actually really,
right.
Melissa really does.
You two are the ultimate.
Because there's the older sis. She's the oldest of her tribe.
Yeah.
You're the oldest of your tribe. Ruby is the oldest of her tribe.
Yeah. Crickets.
It's fine. Okay.
But so going back to that, yeah. So I'm not going to say it was easy, right? But I understood him, right? Because he is nice. He's inherently nice. He's inherently thoughtful. He inherently means well.
Yeah.
That doesn't come across in his grumpiness and his like short, whatever it is, however he speaks, right? But I get it. So using that, I went with it. And then when I started feeling more comfortable, I would call him on it. Like,
Okay.
why the fuck are you so grumpy?
So let's talk about that.
We're in a Zoom meeting with a bunch of people, and he's just like, people are asking him questions, just patiently asking a normal question, and in his head, something's going on in his head, and he just is short, and he's like, I don't care about this. And I will speak up and be like, why are you being so grumpy to everyone? We're just asking you a normal question.
What is it, internal meeting or an external meeting?
Internal meeting.
But let's parse through this for a second, because what was going on in your head?
Yeah.
Was it just a straw that broke the camel's back? Was it just a series of cuts and that finally you're like, I'm going to murder this kid? Like,
so
I've got to say something.
That comfort level, it was a comfort level that had to be built for me to actually be straightforward and forthcoming with Kevin. And I would tell him like, hey,
but what got you there? Like what happened internally that you said, you know what? I'm going to confront the bully. How am I a bully? I'm not a bully. I'm definitely not a bully.
He's not a bully.
The grump, whatever you want to call it.
He's grumpy.
I am the Grinch.
The Grinch. Okay, but what made you get that level of comfort and goes, you know what, today's the day?
I think it's just kind of working very closely and understanding his mindset, understanding how he views our clients, how he views our team, his thoughts about what to do and how to think about it, and just getting to know him, Kevin, as like a Jurassic partner, my partner.
Your thing effectively is you gain enough trust that
knowledge and understanding
that you say is, hey, I got to this place where I felt like
it's not coming from a bad place.
Yeah. That was what I understood apparently.
We're early on.
But the interesting thing is fine enough. We want to be like, hey, I don't need to, like, which is fine. There's a lot of people I work with or whatever where I'm like, hey, like, just let it roll off because I don't mean any of it, right? Like, you've got a good enough rapport with this person. But there's a difference between letting it roll off your shoulders and confronting the person. And it's the confronting aspect of it that I'm really...
But I confront people. I'm the kind of person, if somebody's going to be, I feel like disrespectful to me or anything, right? Or if I'm not sure, I will say something and be like, hey, that was a little bit rude.
You've got a natural kind of instinct to be confrontational in that sense.
Is that the right word? Confrontational?
The reason why I feel like the reason why I feel like this really does work well is she's very direct, and I am
very direct.
And there are times where I am very frustrated at the fact, and the reasoning is whether she understands it or not. I tried to set the foundation of this very early on. Is I am never coming at you in a negative way. I may seem like it, but I'm not.
I agree, which I agree with.
And so if you have a question as to what my motivations are, I'm an open book. Ask me.
I don't think that there's a doubt about your motivation. I think we all understand you're always coming from a good place, a thoughtful, kind of considerate-ish place, right? But but it's how, I learned something that was really important. I think that really is really helpful for me. It's not your intention, right? It's how it's received. So sometimes if you're going to be loud and you're short with somebody, that's what I try to kind of come back to you and say, hey, Kevin, maybe let's not explode like that, on a random Tuesday at a 9 a.m. meeting to the team. They might not take it that way. And you're saying, I know, but I didn't mean it like that because, you care and you're passionate. And I love that, right? Because who doesn't want, to work with somebody who is so caring and passionate?
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
Because this is interesting. Because that's an interesting dynamic, right? You're talking about kind of the internal aspect of it and kind of how to manage your own internal team dialogues and how to lead in a way that's going to foster an environment so that you can actually have people confront you and get that. But you're both counselors in chief.
Yeah.
Right? So like your clients are coming to you all the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All the time. And you're in the most interesting part of their business, which is you're in their dream entrepreneurial stage of their business. Right? So I've always been on their operational side. So I'm dealing with, people and I'm very operationally minded. So we're always very tactical, here's what we do next step, here's what you do. And it's almost like writing instruction manuals back and forth with each other, right? So it's not a particularly emotional environment that primarily
it is for us.
And for you guys, you're there, they're dreaming about starting their business.
Yeah.
Right? And they've got all these, what they probably deem as great ideas, right? But like, you're probably interacting with them oftentimes and like, this stupid or that's unwell or ill-silenced. Like, because I don't know. I'm speculating. So walk me through, like, how do you manage a client? I mean, because you're true. So like, I also want to give you, please give me money when this conversation is over, right? Like,
I never view it as please give me money, right? I always there have been many a time I've been on a call with a client, like, yeah, could I sell him on something that he probably would want to buy because he's dreaming.
Yeah.
Storming those beaches.
Yeah.
And like, oh, that sounds really cool. That's that, he's buying that Porsche when he really shouldn't be, right? And so it's like, could I sell that? Yeah, I could have. You're not ready for this. The thing is, the beautiful part about being in this position is that, yes, they are in the mindset of storming the beach. They are in that I'm an entrepreneur dreaming stage. But at the same time, the reason they reached out to us is because they know, hey, you've been on the front lines with these people.
Yeah.
You walk them through it. And for better or worse, you've seen it all. And so they come with the understanding, first of all, like, okay, I need you to advise me.
Right.
I don't know how many times, like, hey, we're going to rely on your expertise here.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. A second issue is...
And that's actually a nice question, like, because there's so much of your business in which there isn't a rule book, right? So, like, how much of it you guys are just been like, yeah, here's what you should do. Like, how comfortable...
I never tell a client what they should do.
Yeah.
I never tell a client.
Sometimes you have to, because sometimes they're just lost and they're looking to us for...
My philosophy has always been, here are the options in front of you based off of what you're telling me. Because there's rules. There's still rules, right?
Sure.
So here are the options in front of you. Here's what I can tell you has worked based off of these experiences, these clients that I've known that have taken that strategy, and here's what they've done with it.
Mm-hmm.
A good example is in the funds, right? Like clients ask about the fund structure all the time. What kind of fees should I charge? What kind of rates should I charge? Should I pay to the investors? There's no formula. But here are the reasons why these ideas are good. And this fund over here, without naming them, has raised X dollars over this amount of time and has this volume. There's some wisdom to that. But we're never in the business of telling the client, like, we don't ever shove down an idea their throat in when it comes to like corporate or fund work. On licensing, we have to.
Right. Because there's a right answer in licensing.
You have no choice.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
No choice.
That's right.
But the problem is always this. The client's like, their perspective is they're dreaming. They want, and they're less in private lending because it's a little bit more tight, more in real estate. In real estate, we get all kinds of crazy ideas. And so,
but like, walk me through, like, what's a crazy idea and what you,
I mean, the craziest, the most extreme idea was years ago, I was still an associate. The sponsor wanted to pay his investors with capital. And I was like, client, you can't do that. Legally, you cannot do that.
What does it mean to pay?
If he wanted to take in capital and pay distributions with that capital.
Oh, okay.
And I told him, client, that is a Ponzi scheme.
Right. I was about to say is
that is what a Ponzi scheme is. And the client was like, but no, that guy over there does it, and that guy over there does it. And the only thing I could tell him, listen, you hire me to be your advisor.
Yeah.
You hire me to advise you through the law and what's a good idea in business. And I can tell you, in my experience, both as an attorney and as former employee at SEC, and what I understand is a good idea with investors, don't do that.
Right.
And sometimes, and that's an extreme example, and that client didn't take it so well. He really, really, really wanted to do that.
Right.
And there are times where it's just not going to work out because, listen, you don't want to take my advice, and we have to accept that reality. There are going to be times where you disagree with me fundamentally at your soul, philosophically, and like, okay, that's fine.
And in those situations, can you continue to work together?
No, in certain circumstances, right? So in that circumstance, the answer is no.
Sure.
That is...
Well, yeah.
Because when they're too stubborn.
You can't do anything illegal or whatever, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is securities fraud.
Sure.
You can't do that.
No, 100%, yeah. But let's say...
But I think that so I feel like Kevin and I, we're very good at kind of building that relationship of a trust, of a true partnership with our clients, right? Where they have ideas and they'll run it by us, but they want to get our thoughts.
Yeah.
They want to, and we tell them, this is how I see it. Here are some other options. Here are some potential consequences. Here's some other ways to do it.
Right.
Perhaps, right? Would this work for you?
That's the key item, is that the beauty of the brand that we built over the years. I mean, you remember how bad it was when we first started a long time ago. But now the brand is like, people respect us, and people respect our expertise, and that comes with a lot of weight.
That's right.
On top of that, we go out of our way to provide value to them beyond legal.
I sure do.
And so like, we're sending them, we're giving them introductions, we're giving them referrals, we're giving them ideas.
Yeah.
And hopefully they appreciate it. And that plays into like, okay.
What you're saying is there's enough rapport being built in the process that typically 100%. They're listening to you.
I mean, I know that I actively, intentionally try to build that rapport with every client.
Because the other thing, like the build up to them actually becoming a client.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pretty long build up.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, because I don't do what you guys do. So I've always been interested in some aspects of it. Like, let me just give you the best example in my head. So when I know enough to know that if you're a fund and you want a line of credit, like there's kind of some initial parameters, right? You're wasting everybody's time. You got to have 2 years of kind of a track record, 20 million under management, whatever. Here's kind of some basic parameters to be able to obtain a line of credit. And I don't know if those numbers are still accurate or whatever, but there's kind of an entry point, right? What would you say in your business are, hey, like, you're not ready for this. This is not,
Oh, table stakes? Yeah.
Yeah, like what do you think is kind of like you're somebody of this.
We get a
your
lot of
podcast for the first time.
We get a lot of these. So the number one thing I tell people they're not ready for is their loan volume is just not there.
And what does that mean?
They're doing 1 loan, 2 loans a month. They're in a smaller market.
So then how many loans do you think they need to do?
There's no hard and fast number with
Sure.
that, right? But what I always tell sponsors is, first of all, are you actually a going concern lending shop? Are you actually a lender?
Are you a hobbyist or is it a profession? Yeah.
And because the market is so popular, there are a lot of hobbyists, and they don't like to be called hobbyists. I don't mean to offend, right? But they are hobbyists, right? They're not.
You intend on having a team of human beings that work with you and a real.
That's one big issue.
That's right.
Beyond that, the other issue is, okay, your deal flow and your capital your capital still outweighs your deal flow.
Yes.
You can still get shit done, current status quo, because your volume's just not there yet. You haven't built a going concern.
Effectively build a more robust business.
Right. Because the best time a client is ready for, especially the fun stuff, any kind of real build out, it's always this fact pattern. Capital will always be deal flow will always outpace capital. And if they're finding that, it means that their business has horsepower. That means they're actually now in a place where, okay, now this is a thing. Now we're cooking with gas, right? And that's when they're talking to us and they're ready to, a lot of times it comes too early.
That was too little brother for me, right? Like, give me, what does it mean? I want, like, give me some more.
If you want data. If you want data.
Yeah, like, I want to start a fund, should I?
If you want data, what I always tell clients is it's not about the hard numbers. It's about, listen, if the number of loans that you're doing and the number and the amount of capital you have available to you, how you're funding your current loans, if there's a mismatch there.
Yeah.
If there's inefficiency in capital because you're doing trustees or co-lender or you're selling and you're losing deals, but also deal flow has to be at a substantial amount.
Right.
Whether it's $1 million a month, whether it's $10 million a month, that depends on
Can I un-Kevinese what I think is
Sure.
Did you just add an ease to that, like Chinese?
I feel like it's the right way to describe it.
Kevinese.
You are at a place where you're trying to scale your business, and what you have is your business is inefficient right now, and ultimately you're trying to create a scalable business.
Correct.
That's really the X factor. There are a lot of factors that
there are too many obstacles to scale on funding your loans.
Yeah.
Yes, you're operationally inefficient, and
that is the moment where, like, okay, now I'm serious about doing a fund, because we have a lot of potential clients that call us. I'm thinking about doing a fund, and whether they realize, okay, that's too expensive for me to bear right now, or I realize in the call, you know what? It's still too early.
Because in my mind, I can think of specific circumstances and I'll say, I'm funding most of the loans myself, or I've got my kind of close friends and family that I'm tapping.
If you're funding the loans yourself, you're nowhere near ready for a fund.
But these are all the circumstances where it says, like, this is how I've currently been running my business, but it's very hard. I can't really grow it the way I've been. The way it's currently running as it exists today.
Yeah.
Is I can't grow 10 times larger than this.
Yeah.
Unless I do something different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agreed. That's typically where we find the most likely client who's ready to take on our services on the security side.
Yeah.
Licensing is different. So licensing is totally
fine. Do you need a license? Do you not need a license?
Gotta do it.
But one more question too, because this is an interesting one. I'd love to get both your perspectives on, which is what makes for the outlier, right? You guys set up hundreds and hundreds of these businesses. And so now reflecting on the years of counseling and understanding who these people are and what kind of businesses they have, are there any traits of the outliers who have just absolutely outperformed, and what were they?
Outperforming is actually a very interesting phenomenon, right? Because there are clients that have very, very lean teams and very small market presence.
Sure.
But their fund is growing and their business, you can tell, they're doing well. On the flip side, there are very, very large organizations that are not. They're struggling, and for various reasons. And so what I find is a couple different key things, and it's not to do with their business really. the first phenomenon is, well, it's always about loan volume, right? Loan volume is always a phenomenon that they have to support the business. But beyond that, I look at character and kind of how the operations go. And what I find is the guys that are really, they don't over obsess about compliance. They don't spend too much time in the weeds on what we're doing on legal, but it is a vital factor to the business.
So no analysis paralysis.
Correct.
They take it seriously.
We do. I feel like the people in our industry that have done the best is that they're still entrepreneurs. They're still very much aggressive in their approach, but they know they have to temper it and make sure they check with counsel, check in their approach, find the solution. And then one of the best ways, like, okay, let's find the most expeditious path to success and move forward on that. And they don't throw roadblocks, because one of the biggest concerns that we always run into is like, oh, that sounds really expensive. Oh, that sounds really
right. Like
burden.
When I think of what you guys do and on the REIT side of it, anytime I've ever heard a REIT console for you, my mind just goes, oh my gosh, that's like so difficult. And it's crazy because when you're talking to these people, they're like, oh yeah, but because the moment they start doing the economic math in the background and go, like, who cares? I do tough things. I do tough things all day long.
Those clients, I feel like, have been able to succeed. And the clients that are like obsess about the money and obsess about the impact.
It's not even so much the money that I think oftentimes, I mean, money is obviously a component of it. I think actually oh man, like I gotta like work, I have to get way uncomfortable and do lots of activity.
They don't like being uncomfortable. Yeah.
Right. I think that's actually the harder thing. I mean, obviously money's going to be an issue, but
discomfort. Oh, this is big.
Right. I knew everything this way. I've always been doing this way. Yeah.
Oh, I have to do that? Oh my gosh.
But then that's where it goes to our client relationships, and they have the trust in us that we will be there right next to them,
right,
walking them through it, telling them like, this is what, now you have to focus on this, and then now in 6 months we need to make sure that we are here.
Right.
So let's plan for this and let's start. Yeah.
We talked about this before the podcast. We the concept of embrace the suck, or this sucks and this is tough, and that's life. All good things suck and they're tough. And they're
the most successful clients, the ones that are always open to the idea of taking on discomfort, taking on opportunities to grow.
Yeah, interesting.
And that, what I find, it's novel, it's scary, but they're okay. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Right? They're not scared.
Being flexible, pivoting.
Yeah.
Being able to pivot.
All right. So I'm getting a signal from our producers that we have to take a left turn right now. And we have to ask some questions. They prepared some questions for us. And so it's
lightning around
a little bit, not so fast though. And we also want our audience to get an opportunity to get to know you guys a little better. So we've had these questions prepared.
Oh shit.
And so
should I be worried?
Maybe, right? So the first question for you guys,
I'll Peter's darkest secret.
I'll answer as well. What is one thing you would like to change about the industry, when I say the industry, private lending industry, and why? This is deep. This is very deep. And we are all very different in our perspective. So,
I mean, off the top of my head, I think still kind of dealing with that stigma about hard money lending. I feel like I hear that still. I don't know. And people just wild west kind of cowboy things that people are doing without really fully understanding, and then furthering that stigma maybe. But it's very different now. I think where we are in the private lending industry and our lenders and how they operate, they're very compliant. They reach out to us. We walk them through, we advise them, we tell them what's compliant, right? I think that it's taken a turn, but I think that we still have some ways to grow, and we're here for it.
It's interesting. The company, the nice thing about Lightning Docs is I get the benefit of working with some of the larger companies in the industry.
Yeah.
And they actually kind of mostly share similar traits, which I've been impressed with.
They all have standardization.
Well, the thing that interests me the most about them, and I think what the industry would learn best from, is especially the highest performing ones, care deeply about their teams.
Yeah.
They are so people focused. It is not platitudes. It is not, slogans on the wall. Like, you can talk to any one of their CEOs and you can ask them, and they will tell you with very high specificity kind of the way they think about and how intentional they are about particularly the development of their people, right? And making sure that everyone on the team understands where they are headed and why it matters to show up every day. I really hope that becomes more pervasive in what we do.
And that's a challenging issue in a fragmented market full of entrepreneurs.
Yes.
You have so many different perspectives on company culture.
Yeah.
But I think that the nice part about the entrepreneur is that they can learn a lot from the guys that have made it. And I mean, we did an episode exclusively for Lenovo talking about their Top Gun program.
Yeah.
And we did another episode with them, with Arixa, talking about their kind of culture building. And we interviewed Bill Tesser about the same topic about, culture building and company and people. And yeah, I agree. I mean, one of the things that
those people come top of mind to me when I think about people that are
100%, right?
But vigilant.
But even at the top echelon of the industry, there are other companies that don't have that same kind of philosophy about culture and people.
Right.
And whether or not they're succeeding or not, I do agree. I mean, there's a scary concern that our industry can become very much like non-QM, where like people become just
cogs in a system,
just playing pieces, right? And you see it a lot in non-QM, right? When the rates fluctuate, company shutters.
We'll fire 100 people. We'll do it
and they're disposable.
Disregard. Yeah, that's right.
What I've loved to see though in our space, that there's a lot of kind of people, they stay in the market, they stay in the industry, they move shops, but they stay in the industry. And so the industry is growing in that respect. I think a lot of our listeners can learn from those episodes and learn from those sponsors. From my perspective, one of the things that I would change about the industry is I would strongly encourage entrepreneurialism, but like it drives me nuts when I see a lot of these, and it always happens when you see kind of a challenge come to the market, right? So you always see these new programs come out, and they're always a product of some harebrained scheme that takes advantage of some legal framework that they have no business understanding.
You mean like home equity contracts?
I would not on that, but there's some other stuff, right? And there's, I mean, for a solid 6 months, harebrained ideas, and those ideas can be done if there's legitimacy to it and you think about the risk and the structure. But if you're being sold a product by some guru I would say we need a guru-proof private.
Oh my gosh. I feel like we've gone a lot. I mean,
love that.
There was a lot of guruing for a long time.
For a long time.
It was painful.
It got better for a long time.
All my loans this way, and I'm like, that is so blatantly illegal.
It got a lot better for a long time. And then when the rate hikes happened, we started to see more gurus come to the market with these really complicated, very complex structures that, granted, there is credence to it if you look at the corollaries in like commercial real estate, but there's a reason why it works on a $25 million ground construction deal and it doesn't work on a $200,000 fix and flip. And so there needs to be some thought behind that, because people are falling for these tricks and they're calling us, and then we're just like, wow, you're taking that much risk. That's what scares me, because it always hurts, because those folks who suffer from those situations, it hurts. And I hate to see it. They're still entrepreneurs, they're still individuals. They can't absorb the risk. That's what scares me the most. At the more kind of middle market, upper market level, I'm so excited about where we're headed, and things are very dynamic and they're in a good way. But at the lower kind of entry level market, think twice before you take business advice from a guru. I'm sorry. There's wisdom to the market, and there's wisdom to why they do it the way they do it. Don't discount that.
That's right.
And they do it for a very good reason.
It is interesting. I have noticed that particularly new market entrants or smaller market entrants really, I don't know, poo-poo is not the right word, but they really frown on, what those big shops do, it makes no sense. And I was like, no, like, those big shops got there for a reason.
Correct.
They got to those practices for a reason, because they've got some scars that got them there along the way.
Correct.
And they're actually really good business operators. And we would benefit from really coalescing around some of the institutional practices that they're now building.
Correct. And I feel like that the beauty of our industry, though, is it's so dynamic that you could really take those practices, embed them in your business, and do really, really well, even as a startup.
Yeah, agreed.
And that's the thing that's kind of lost on the new market entries. So don't let the gurus fool you, is my point. All right, so this is another question we have. I think it's geared more for you and I, because we're fathers, and you're clearly not a father. So
as far as we know.
So how have you changed since becoming a father? What is one quality you see in your children? You go first and then I'll go next.
It made me a much better human being. It totally did. Kids are great. I have two awesome kids. They are amazing little humans, and it really made me care a lot more about this concept of multi-generational structures, right? Just sort of think about my parents, their parents, their parents, and my kids, their kids, their kids, right? Like it really made me think a lot more about what is the activity in my life today and how will it shape that intergenerational connection. And it's a burden and it's a weight, but it's really it's a reorientation and redirection. I had no concept of how important being a parent was going to be. I had no appreciation for it, and it's the best thing that's ever happened in my life.
That was so cute.
For me, it's been very, very interesting because I thought the weight and the burden of it, a lot of people worry about that. It never really got to me. I don't notice any difference in burden. And that could be because just you're used to it as the oldest child. So you're used to that aspect of it. But like,
you don't know nothing about
You don't know nothing about that, homies. You're like, oh my God, yeah, human beings have to take care of. What is this all about? But at the same time, I have two girls, and being
girls are awesome. They're
girls are great.
Over the world.
Girls are great. And for those of you who don't know, I am surrounded by ladies at work.
I'm one of them.
One of them. And also I work very closely with our marketing team, and you all know them. And Ruby was right? I feel like, God has
Surrounded you.
God has given me the gift, and God tests you in the ways that in these ways. And this is one of those things. It has taught me how to be a parent completely foreign to how I thought parenting was. I thought parenting was this. The way I grew up, the way my mom, my dad raised me, it is not that. And there are still some parallels to it, but ultimately it is completely different. And my mom laughs all the time about it. And I am finding myself constantly making sure that, like, okay, there are I always think back, okay, what are the good things that mom and dad did? What are the things I could do without? Let's make sure that we concentrate on the good things that mom and dad did: character building, discipline, hard work.
Do you think your parents thought about that?
My parents probably did. I think my parents
had the similar concept.
The most important,
this is what I want to take.
The most important thing that my dad taught me from the youngest of age was try your best. Try your best. Do your best.
Now, my parents would just scream, become a doctor, become a doctor.
No, my mom did that. My mom did that.
For the record, I'm like an extreme disappointment to my parents.
Doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, right? So I became a lawyer, so that was good enough. But at the same time, the hard work part.
Yeah.
And so like the hard work, and be very like, if you're going to do something, try your best, do your best, don't be lazy. If you're going to be lazy, just don't do it at all.
Sure.
That's something that I take. But at the same time, the kind of old school Korean parent, kind of emotionally distant, that kind of stuff we put away. And so I'm learning a lot. And then on top of all that, like, the most important thing I feel like has nothing to do with kind of these emotional aspects, but more like just thinking about, all right, I had children at a little bit older age than my parents did. I need to make sure that I'm alive when they're older. And so do things that will hopefully extend my life.
That's right.
And so I can be there when they're older.
That's right.
I don't want to pass away when, like, my dad passed away last year. Abby was 7 or 6.
Yeah.
7. So I want them to be older. My grandchildren to be older. So thinking about what can I do to be living a longer life.
A good observation, yeah.
Right? Hopefully see them go to high school or maybe college. So that's kind of important to me because my grandfather saw me go to college. He passed away right before I got married. So like, that's important. And so having that kind of aspect to life with my children,
It's an interesting one, yeah.
because there's a different bond that you gain when they get older.
Yeah.
100%.
And so that's, to me, I can't really connect with a child as much, but as they get older, there's going to be difference, and I want them to be older, and that's going to be. I feel like that's going to be important to me.
Well, I feel like you're probably going to have to work on your anger and grumpy issues.
I do. Hey, I've gotten better.
You have gotten better. I was trying to give you credit for that.
And I realized part of it has to do with stress management.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've been doing a lot more, you know, going to the gym a lot more, and that's been helping, and, you know, and faith and all that kind of stuff, right? So, all right, next question is,
Well, I wanted to ask a question if we're asking questions.
Yeah.
Me and Nema were talking about this just right before the recording started. We kind of were just wondering about cucumbers and clowns.
oh, yeah. We were going back to silly stage. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
But we have to know, what is it with cucumbers and clowns? Why do you hate them?
Well,
What do they do to you?
also
and
too
if
is
one walked in right now, either a cucumber.
he said he's not fearful
he's
of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's a fine line between hate and fear, right? Like,
It's true. This is true. Cucumbers are a food that I never was able to eat as a child. I was able to eat almost anything, but cucumbers.
Koreans
I've eaten weird things with Kevin.
Yeah.
We'll vouch for you to do it. Eat
I
odd
eat
things.
sea urchin, I eat cod sperm, I eat all kinds of stuff. But at the same time,
You heard it here, folks.
but I can't eat cucumbers on their own. It's a thing. I just never, and it's actually,
You're not even allergic to it.
I'm not allergic to them.
They taste like
There's a Facebook group for Koreans that hate cucumbers. I'm a very active member of that Facebook scene.
This is the second thing that you've probably taken away from this entire episode.
Cucumbers. I hate them.
And I suspect those of you who know Korean on Facebook currently and just trying to find this tribe of Koreans who are anti-cucumber.
And for those of you who have Korean food, there's a lot of cucumbers in Korean food.
So many.
There's so many, and I can't.
many dishes.
I am so good at getting cucumbers out of my food, right? That's cucumbers, right? Now, the funny part is I actually thoroughly enjoy pickles, right? So that's the funny part.
You're a madman.
Exactly. Right?
Okay, but so the clowns.
Clowns.
You're not
I
scared
have
of them.
irrational.
You just
I have
hate
an
them.
irrational, emotional response to clowns. I don't know if it stems from.
Emotional response. It's not.
It's an irrational.
It's not scared.
This kind of statements like
It's
he's
an
clearly
irrational-
gone to a therapist and has actually
No.
clearly gone through the
A good friend of mine.
problem.
Emotional response.
A good friend of mine is a psychiatrist, and he explained to me, Kevin, you have a
good friend.
no. Hey, by the way, there's nothing wrong with going to therapy. Therapy's good for you.
Yes.
I agree, especially
100%.
talk about what the clown did.
I don't know. I actually have never had a negative experience with clowns. I've never been attacked by a clown. I've never been molested by a clown. None of this. The movie It.
But you are not scared of them.
got very dark and all weird.
The movie It scarred me.
Yeah.
The first movie, not the remake.
Yeah.
The movie It scarred me for.
Yeah.
I watched it as a very young child.
Maybe
It scarred me.
I'm just thinking of the trailer for this episode, and I feel like you just start with "I've never been molested by a clown." It's this little lead line for this episode, and I bet you it's going to go viral.
And beyond that, after It, there was a lot of for our audience. There's a comic book called Spawn, and the bad guy in that is a clown.
Oh, but you're not saying you're scared of.
I'm not. So let's think of it. If a clown walks in
that's
if a
what
clown walks in that room right now, I will not operate out of a sense of fear. I will operate out of a sense of violence.
So earlier,
Like I will be violent. I will get angry.
if a clown walked in right now, what would you do? Boom.
I will. Well, now I'm a 42-year-old father of two, leading an organization. I probably there's consequences to my life now, and so I probably bury it deep inside and ask that clown to leave the room. And I would talk to him. And
How loud were you going to be like?
that's the beauty of it.
I feel like you would have thrown your.
No, I might have. It depends on the clown. Clown. It is a sad clown, kind of mopey, not too much aggressive.
Okay.
Comes in all happy,
It's an aggressive clown.
it's aggressive. So this, yeah. And so
Depends on the clown.
you weren't around for this, but back in the day at our old office,
Oh, you brought in a clown. I forgot.
Amy Martinez, shout out to Amy Martinez. She used to torment me with my hatred of clowns, and she would hide clown dolls and pop-ups and just, especially on Halloween. And there was a time where I was always looking under things to make sure the clowns wouldn't pop up because I was just,
Even if they were this little and a toy?
she hid one in the men's room, just right by, you know the urinal and there's a little metal pipe right here. She hid one behind the pipe because she knew I'd see it. And I was just, Annie, you bitch.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no.
But it's not a fear because I don't run away from them. In fact, I would probably run towards them and ask that gentleman, sir, I'm here. I understand you're here to work, but
female clowns?
all female, miss, sir, I understand you're here to work, but being around in this room will be bad for your physical well-being. It's probably best that you leave the premises. I may or may not be armed right now. You should probably leave. And that's how I would approach it today. Now, my 20-year-old self would just probably start yelling and screaming and what the fuck? Yeah. So, yeah. That's currently my issue with I still hold this to this day. My kid had a circus day at school, and I told my wife, I'm not going to that. And at the firm, we used to go to the circus every year at the Honda Center. And they all invite, hey, you should come. Like, I'm not going to that. Because why? Because there are clowns there. All right, back to the questions that I have prepared, not for myself, but from our producers. All right, so what is one trait you wish you could have from the other people here?
Ruby's bubbliness.
Yes, Ruby's in the corner right now.
She's in the corner, so I'm picking her because I definitely don't want anything of whatever you two have. So I had to kind of take a little bit of that one. Well, no, Jen, you're fine. You have very expensive tastes in clothing, so I don't. We diverge.
Enough with this. Okay, let's get real quick. Let's serious talk, real talk. Let's get real talk here on this one. This is a very deep question. I like this one. Thank you, producer.
I would love to be a bigger brother. That's it. I don't know exactly what that means, but it sounds nice. It sounds like people that understand what that means, they find value in it.
There's value in it.
That's right.
There's
brother and sister. It's not a brand, like a group.
Yes, it is.
Join them. You could be a big brother. You can
join them. Yeah,
you can.
Yeah. Big brothers.
Even if you're not a big brother or a big sister, you can volunteer and pretend as though you are a big brother or a big sister to someone else.
Yeah, like it's mentorship.
Beautiful.
It's a mentorship. I think.
Beautiful.
Yeah. You go first.
Me?
Thinking.
I have some both of you. So on your end, you're very.
He's gonna say
you're a lot more organized than I would like to be. That I am. You're a lot more organized than I am.
Oh, sure.
You're more disciplined than I am. I'm finding it very challenging to be disciplined in my personal life. Professional life, discipline is actually not that hard, but being in my personal life, being disciplined, and you've always been very disciplined about it. I remember back when you were a lot heavier.
It's been a journey, folks.
You lost a lot of weight and you got a lot healthier, and you've been very disciplined about that, and I respect that. And that I'm finding myself doing that for that longevity aspect.
And it's so frustrating because this man just like chooses to kind of eat healthy and go to the gym once a week, and he's just completely just transforms. The way the God designed capitalism is unfair. All I will say at that one.
And then on your end, there's an interesting aspect of you have a way of holding people to a very high standard, but also not doing it in the way that I would do it and like be very angry about it. So I really do appreciate it. I'm learning a lot from it because I feel like you get results the way that I couldn't get results, and you got it to me. And so I really like that about you. And I think that's very admirable and something that I strive towards. I see it like, oh, that's interesting. Because from at first blush, it's like you're coming in hot, but it's not. And that's really cool. So, and then also, since you brought up Ruby, because Ruby reminds me not to be such an asshole all the time. She's so nice. She's so nice.
So nice.
She's so nice.
It's the best if you've ever actually seen Ruby get mad. Because it's like cartoonish, right? She's just she's like imagine a house because she's still smiling. You can't do that.
No, I've seen it. It's
just the sweetest angry person you've ever met in your life.
But that's kind of scary at the same time. It instills a sense of fear. Like, it's like,
yeah, because you never see it, right? You never get to see it. You're like, oh my gosh.
Exactly. But there's a sense of happiness.
Yes.
and positivity.
Yes.
Which is great. As an attorney, it's very hard to be positive.
I will say a nice thing, not about you yet, because I'm still struggling on that one. But Jen is really good at making you get, like, because I can be very business oriented, and I really love talking about shop. Love talking about business, like that kind of stuff. I enjoy it. But like Jen is very good at like, hey, shut up. Like, you can't do this right now. Like, just put on your normal human being hat for a second and start talking about like TV shows and the things that everyone else cares about in life.
I hear this a lot from her.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, stop it. Like, we're here together. We're gonna die at work. It's okay. Like, let's talk about the things that like we actually should care about for a hot second.
Yeah.
And she's very good at bringing that out of people and being very fun and drawing that fun out of you. And I've thought about something nice to say about you. It took a while, but I've thought about it. You're very good at genuinely connecting people. And in
Connecting people?
yes, it is an art in which you kind of what I talked about earlier, where you kind of like those CEOs I admire, where I'm like, oh, they really care about their teams and their people. Like they seem almost have like a natural instinct about it. It's something that I try to like grow and foster, but it's tough. I feel like those great leaders have that. But for you, you have a natural connector ability. Like there's just something, the way you are wired, the way you're thinking, you're constantly going. And because more often than not, it has no business. It means nothing to you. You're not trying to do it. You don't care. There's nothing. There's no karma you're trying to get out of this whole thing. But there's just a component that you're saying is like, oh no, like, hey man, I thought about it the other day. Like, you really need to talk to this guy, and you like go out of your way to make sure those two people find each other in the universe.
I love doing it. It's all it is.
Okay, I can't say anything else nice about Kevin. That just feels dirty to say in the first place. Jen, do you feel like, especially after the clown did, do you feel like you have anything that you would want to say nice about this guy?
Yeah. I mean, traits that I admire and really appreciate, I think for both of you guys, it's kind of the same. I mean, I wish that there was some osmosis system where I can take your brains, your experience, your knowledge, and just like transfer it to me. But more than anything, I really, really love your heart in the industry, what you guys do for your clients. You're continually learning and digging into stats and reviewing data and leading our clients in the right path, on the right path. I mean, I love that. It's motivational for me and it's inspiring for me. And I take that and I try to do my best and, educate and care for our clients and really just provide really excellent service and advice to them, because I feel like I see our clients the way that you guys do as you're partnering with them, you're helping them grow their business. And that heart is hard to come by. Yeah. So I love that about you guys. I appreciate that. And I think that it's very genuine and I love it.
See, I like to end these shows on a positive note as opposed to a negative one. And that's a very positive note. I really appreciate that. I think that's about all the time we have for this episode. Special episode of season 5 here at Captivate. Hopefully you guys will tune in for the next episode. This is going to be a really fun one to tune into. So look out for this one. And we will see you on the next one. This is Kevin Kim signing off. You've been listening to Lender Lounge with Kevin Kim, brought to you by Gerasi LLP, the nation's largest private lending law firm. Gerasi is the leading legal resource for specialty lenders, asset-based lenders, private lenders, and non-bank institutions. Learn more about the firm at gerasilawfirm.com. That's GERACI lawfirm.com. Check out our episode summary to subscribe to our Lender Lounge newsletter and our law firm newsletter, where you can get notified about new episodes and recent content directly from our expert attorneys. In addition, we'd love if you follow Lender Lounge with Kevin Kim on YouTube, your favorite podcast platform, and on LinkedIn, where you can also check out updates from Gerasi LLP. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Lender Lounge with Kevin Kim. This is Kevin Kim, signing off.